Go.
Hey, Raf and Joel here from Digital Autopilot. So we're going to do another session here to continue the topic of developing good habits in your work or personal life, mainly on the ideas that we've learned from a book that we've both been reading called Atomic Habits, and that we gifted to some of our clients recently. So Joel had another idea that he wanted to talk about being more committed in those good habits and what sort of mechanisms you can use in that. So Joel, why share with us some of these ideas? Let's have a chat.
Sure, no worries. And you forgot our fist bump.
Oh,
don't leave me hanging.
How'd that go?
Thank you. Yeah, very good.
That hurt.
And I'm going to be kind to you today. I promised before this session that I wouldn't put you on the spot, as I usually like to do. So I'll try.
Well, I'm not
kind.
sitting down, so you can't put me in the hot seat. So there's no seat.
So look, I'd love to share just a couple of really helpful insights around, building and in particular keeping habits, making them part of your life, integrating them into your life so that they actually work and help you. There's lots that we can say about it, and there are some golden nuggets in James Clear's book Atomic Habits, but I'd like to focus on one in particular, and it's around building commitment around habits. So it's very often what happens is we take on a new habit or we take on a new activity that we think is important or worthwhile in our life, and we start off with lots of enthusiasm, and that slowly drops off over time to the point where we're no longer performing the action and it's not having an impact on our life. So the question is, how do you keep that? I'd actually like to share with you a framework for thinking about behavior change. And this framework actually applies to any behavior you want to change, whether it's in your business, whether it's in your personal life. And what I'm going to do is actually share my screen with you right now. And we're going to do a little bit of drawing together. So here's our digital autopilot canvas. And what I'm going to, let me give you a 2-minute crash course on human behavior change. You see, when we want to change a particular behavior, we start with some kind of vision in mind. So let's say, let's put that here. We've got a vision that we want to achieve. Now, in order to achieve that vision, we actually need a few key components. So to achieve the vision, I'm going to draw a bit of a triangle for us here.
This is not a creative arts course, by the way, if you've just started listening or watching.
Yeah, correct. It's definitely not. So at the very top is what I'm going to call mindset. What that means is, if you want to create a particular change in your life, you need to be thinking in the right way. You need to buy into the change. You need to have the right beliefs in order for that to happen. I'll share some examples in a moment. Mindset is one component, but it's not all. We also need the right skills. In other words, it's one thing to have the right belief systems, but if we don't know how to do the thing that we're trying to do, it's going to be a problem. We need to build our skill set. But that's not all. We also have one more component, and that's what I'm going to call systems. Systems are these processes that are in place and embedded in your life that enable you to perform the right activities in line with your mindset in order to achieve the vision. Now, give you a practical example, and I'll tell you about how I did this poorly. So about 10 years after I got married, I decided that it was time to get fit again. You see, I used to be quite fit, and about 10 years after I got married, I realized I'd actually not really done much exercise for 10 years. And
just blame your wife. Like, she just cooks too good.
It wasn't just about the eating. It was also no physical exercise whatsoever. I used to go to gym 2 to 3 times a week, and then it just all fell off a hill Once I start having kids.
Kids can do that too.
So anyway, I decided I'm going to get back into it. So I had a vision. My vision was to get fit. Now, in order to achieve that vision, you obviously need to have the right mindset. So one of the key beliefs was that, doing physical activity, for instance, on a regular basis is a important way to get fit. And obviously I already had that right mindset. I bought into it. I knew it. I was used to it.
Being healthy in general, for some people it could be physical activity. Some people it could be just eating better, but just being healthy in general, I would say.
Correct. And if you don't have that mindset already, that's important, then, no strategy is going to help you. So that's step one. You have to believe it. Step two is the skills. So I already had the skills for, fitness. I knew exactly what to do when I went to a gym. I did it for years myself. I didn't need anyone to tell me. I already had the skill set. And so what did I do? I did what many people do, and that is I bought a gym membership. Sounds like a good strategy, right? And of course, I went to gym for, the first week, the second week. By the third week, instead of going twice a week, I went once. By the fourth week, I didn't go at all. The fifth week, I went again. But by the sixth week, it was basically all over, right? I'd stopped going, and it became a very expensive gym membership. What happened? I started with great enthusiasm. I had the right mindset. I had the skills. Mm-hmm. What problem was? I didn't have the right systems in my life to embed that habit. In other words, what I said to myself was, you know what, when I get time, I'll go to gym, right? I didn't put it into my life in a framework. And as a result, who really has spare time these days, right? So I found that I didn't have time. I didn't make time. So what I did is I changed my approach. After I realized this, I did two things which were fundamental. Number one is I said to myself, I'm going to create a system in my life, right? I'm going to create a regime where I decided that I was going to go to gym twice a week on particular mornings each week at a particular time. In my case, it was 5:45 a.m. in the morning. That was going to be my time for gym before the day starts, really, and before my other responsibilities, commence. That was when I was going to do it. That already was helpful, but it actually wasn't enough. What I did was I put in place what James Clear calls a commitment device, right? Sometimes called an accountability mechanism. What it was I knew I needed some way to hold me accountable for actually rocking up at 5:45 a.m. when it's still dark outside on 2 mornings a week. And so what I did was I employed a personal trainer. Yes, it did cost me some money, but it was well worth it, because what happened was I had someone who I knew was waiting for me. I didn't actually need the trainer to give me the skills, because I already knew what to do. Yeah, I learned a bit extra from him as well, but that's not why I had him. I didn't need him to teach me the mindset, because I already had that. I needed him to hold me accountable, to create a commitment device so that I would rock up, because I knew he was waiting there for me. You know what happened? As soon as I put that in place, the change was embedded in my life. And for many, many years, right up until COVID, a couple of years back, I was going 2 days a week, literally hail, rain or shine, and my fitness improved dramatically as a result. And so that's this fundamental idea is really about building systems in our life and putting in place a way to make that system a way to hold us accountable for that system, to keep us committed to that system. And if you can do that, you can create, massive change in whichever area you want to implement it in.
Right. I was even going to say that, that's a great example, because you're getting other people involved, and when there are other people involved, you can't sort of hide whether it's telling people that you're going to do something or communicating about it. But in your case, you're paying someone to show up, so you kind of feel like you have to be there. I even feel like personally, just like, writing a to-do list, even if it's something regular, like a good habit, so at least you tick it off every day. That's I would say it's not as impactful as maybe paying someone and making sure you turn up, but at least it's something small saying, you know, I want to tick this thing off every day, whether it's a reminder in your phone or whether it's, because at least it's a reminder saying, you know what, I had this vision, I had this belief, I know I've got the skills, but this is to remind me to do it. You know, little things could be just, you know, paying certain checks or, you know, putting some savings away every month, you know, and it reminds you, and you know, there's accountability there. You see that message on the phone or on that to-do list, you know that at one point in time you thought about this idea that it should be a good thing to do.
Well, the savings one that you just mentioned, putting savings away is a great one. In fact, James Clear actually uses that specific example. And, you know, he talks about wherever possible, automate the activity and make the decision beforehand so that you don't have to decide on it at the time. So, you know, he'll say, for example, set up an automatic savings plan where a certain amount of money goes from your account into savings. And you've already made the commitment, it's already happening, and you don't actually have to decide every day to do that particular act.
Even more than that, what I just read recently in his book was that, like, you give it a name. So if you can name that bank account or that, you know, that jar where you put the money in for that savings, like call it the saving for, you know, European holiday. And I think the example he said, you know, like a husband and wife were trying to either eat healthier but to save money at the same time. So every time they didn't get that takeaway meal, but they cooked at home, they'd put, let's say, $50 in the saving for the European holiday trip. So they would see that. So there was that commitment system, so to speak, that not only were they committing to each other, but they could actually see how things were developing as they went along. So there was, in a way, like a progress tracker. That might be another topic to maybe discuss.
Visual cues progress to help you see the change that you're making.
Apps have been fantastic. There's probably too many apps, but there's some very good apps, you know, whether it's fitness, weight loss, and, you know, savings, or, you know, trying to track that progress and seeing that. And you see that in surveys, for example. You know, you do one question and then the bar moves a little bit across and somebody feels, oh, well, I'm actually moving towards that goal, that vision, like you said.
So there you have it, guys. There's our strategy for the day. See if you can, when you're taking on a new habit that's going to help you in some way in your life, if you can look for a way not just to have the right mindset and skill set, but to create a system in your life and create an accountability or commitment mechanism around it to hold you accountable for the change you want to make. Good luck implementing this in your life.
And I was going to say, if you've got any ideas that we haven't mentioned about ways, you know, some systems or, you know, good ideas, pop in a message or comment below.
Thanks very much, everyone. Thanks, Ralph.
See ya.